Shining star.
Ladies and gentlemen, I greet you. Welcome back to your favorite channel, and if you are new on this channel, please remember to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so that next time when I upload another video you won't miss it. I'm back with the president of Botswana, President BOKO. One speech yavo yavakapa Cape Town, speech yavo yavakapa Cape Town, South Africa. Seriisa inonzisatisi andoda kuti muzvinzwire mega, an epic speech. I don't want to waste much of your time, guys. Let's go on it.
Thank you very much, the director of these proceedings. When I walked in here from the closed session, I was greeted, as you all were, by the powerful beat of the African drum, evocative, those staccato beats that can get you into a trance, in which altered state of mind you might just commune with the ancestors. I felt the magic and the inspiration. And so I start off by thanking them who gave us those beats. I would like to also recognize the President of the Republic of South Africa, President Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa, and thank him most profusely for his generosity and the warm hospitality with which he has received all of us and made us all feel at home. We thank him also for his leadership during South Africa's tenure as chair of the Southern African Customs Union. We've made great strides, certainly building on the efforts of not just President Ramaphosa, but many of those who came before him and handed the baton through the years to the next in line, and it reached him. He passes it on to my good self. And I receive it with all humility in this unending relay race that does not take us to the finishing line, but to the beginning, always, as we rise and raise the continent, our region, and our union. We're most grateful to you, Mr. President. We also recognize the President of the Republic of Namibia and thank her as well. I look forward, Madam President, to us, you and I, commencing the construction of the Trans-Kalahari Railway line in order to open up another corridor of commerce and trade, not just for Botswana and Namibia, but for the rest of our sub-region and indeed the continent in the context of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. I thank you very much, and I understand, I know very well that you are committed to the execution of this and the many other projects in the offing. Let me appreciate the Prime Minister of the Kingdom in the Sky, Lesotho. I have been there a few times. I was there at the birthday of King Letsie, and I listened to the dances and the songs of the Basotho, including a special community I heard of there, of those people who bear scars and bruises, they describe, and they say these scars are not from taking anybody's wife, but from stealing horses. It's a community in Lesotho that takes pride in the fact that rather than participate in these other vices, they have their own specialization of vice, and that is stealing horses. And on every occasion when they are mentioned, they take great pleasure in this having to be stated and stated up front. I don't know whether they still steal the horses or it's a relic from the past, but it's an interesting part of their their culture. And I thank you very much, and I know between us and South Africa, there will be a lot of water flowing over a 700-kilometer stretch all the way into the southern part of Botswana. We look forward to that project also commencing and receiving finance even under the Fund of Funds that we are in the process of birthing in Saku. So thank you very, very much. I look forward to more collaboration. In my culture in Botswana, we say, "Moja morago ke kgosi," the one who eats last is king, and in that case, I thought they meant it metaphorically. In the present instance, it applies literally. I mentioned the king last because he is king, His Majesty, King Mswati III. And I greet him and say, "Baye, te. Wenawa pagat." Thank you very much, Your Majesty, for gracing this event. I was also in Eswatini recently, and I had the honor and the privilege to spend time with you. And I've spent more time with you today. And I must confess publicly that the more time I spend with the king, the more I thank the heavens up aloft that I am not a king. It is not as easy as it appears. It seems to be a very difficult, painfully onerous responsibility. He tells me that he is prohibited by culture from attending any funeral, even if it were the funeral of his closest relative. He cannot. He cannot even interact closely with any person who is in mourning. Difficult life. Painful. I wouldn't survive in that role. He also cannot attend even the birth of his own children. He cannot see them immediately after they are born. He can only see them after a period of at least 3 months. And you sit there and you think, at some point, I wish I were a king. No, it's one of the most difficult jobs, and it takes a great deal of fortitude, strength, and character to occupy that station and discharge those functions, and do so with a kind of poise and elegance and equanimity that His Majesty discharges these functions. We appreciate the work that you do, the guidance that you give, and the friendship that we all share in this closely knit family that we are. So thank you very, very much. We met at the behest mainly of yourselves. You summoned us here, even as it appears that we are the ones who did. We actually are under your control and direction. You met before us. You engaged on all the issues that we had to deal with today. You put your heads together, alive to the challenges that we've all faced. Some of them of a nature that could actually have split us up. The equivocations and vacillations of the past were weighing heavily on you as you met. And you had to resolve some of these pressing and trenchant problems that face the Union. You resolved them. President Ramaphosa suspects that there must have been some influence of wine. But I know that if, and I hope in fact there was the influence of wine, but what wine does, as I understand, is it brings forth the truth. As they say, the ancient Romans, in vino veritas, in wine the truth comes. So if what has come forth came from wine, I know it is the truth. And if it is the truth brought to the fore by wine, then it is durable. It will carry us well into the future. We have absolutely nothing to fear. We stand on the firmest ground of truth and mutual understanding. So I'm grateful. And it is all thanks to yourselves, the work that you've put in, dealing with all these intricate issues, and finding each other in the process. And by so doing, making it easy for all of us to then come at the end and claim all the glory. One of the things I like about Eswatini, and when you are in the proximity of the king, you will hear powerful bolts of poetry being rendered. It's always very sobering. You hear the lines of poetry that come out, and I always give myself time to listen. Listen not just to the fact that it's poetry, the nuances of voice, but also the subtle messages. Carries a lot of history. Speak of their interactions with Abesut. Somewhere I heard those lines. History. And I reminded myself that once there was a debate between two friends. One wrote and dismissed poetry. The poets are idle time wasters, and poetry should be banished. And the friend responded and wrote an article which was the last he wrote before he died. I think he died at the age of 29 in the year 1822. And he wrote this in 1821, responding to a critique by his friend, Love Peacock. And he says in his article, and it's the last sentence of that article, says, poets are the unacknowledged legislators of the world. And so when I listen to the lightning bolts of poetry coming from the Imbongi, the praise poet, I'm reminded that he actually is legislating. And we must listen, and listen very carefully. And the author of this article, Percy Bysshe Shelley, whose wife wrote the Frankenstein Monster. Percy Bysshe Shelley defended poetry. He says, poets are the hierophants of an unapprehended inspiration. They are the mirrors of the gigantic shadows that futurity imposes upon the present. And it was in that context that he delivers his thunderclap and says, poets are the unacknowledged legislators of the world. I love the praise poetry. And that is why sometimes when you walk too far from me, I get a little troubled. I want to be close so that the inspiration can also flow my way. So thank you very much. It's always a blessing when we have you, Your Majesty. But I'd like to thank you, all of you. You've done great work. You've done admirable work. You've brought down to brass tacks what would otherwise have been very high-flown, very esoteric, very complicated issues. You've simplified them for us. Understanding all the while that they must translate into solutions, into tangible, concrete deliverables to transform the lives and livelihoods of the unnumbered throng of our people subsisting on the downside of our societies. It is our responsibility. History has bequeathed this task on all of us. We owe it to them. And so we came, we engaged, we spoke, we committed ourselves solemnly, and it is now time to translate those solemn commitments into tangible outcomes and solutions for our people. And so we now must move forward. in ardent hope, make forward strides, our gaze firmly fixed on the future, a future that we would like to make spectacularly different from the past and the present. And so at this point, colleagues, friends, nothing pleases me more than to assure you that Botswana, as the incoming chair of SACU, will do everything that can reasonably be done to advance this course. And we will be with you at every step of advance. We will walk together, because the charms and allurements of our togetherness trump any and everything that could even remotely seek to divide us and tear us apart. And on that note, I would like to extend a formal invitation to each and every one of you to attend the next summit, which will be held in Botswana. And so, please come in 2027, but come many times before that, so that you familiarize yourselves with the country, its people, and the majesty of nature and the beauty of the wilderness that Botswana has to offer in the space of tourism. And I must warn and caution you at this point, if you do come once, you will not stop coming. And that is what we want. And so at this point, because I know I'm standing between you and lunch, most invidious position to occupy, I would like now to thank you for the privilege of your company at this summit and the pleasure of your kind attention. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you so very much.